Hey guys, Subtle Static here, welcome to another video. Now, you may be wondering why is my screen blank at the moment. That's because we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today, which some of you may have heard of, some of you may not, because it's not exactly a common plugin. But to explain, let's imagine we're crossing plants, synths, and genetics. What do we get? Well, we get this guy here. It's called Synplant, and it sounds amazing. Like, let's give this thing a listen. So, very interesting sounds coming out of a very simple interface here. But the way it works, it's a very different approach to sound design from what you might be used to in Serum or in Synth. It's completely different. So, like I said, plants, it's kind of like growing your own synth from a single sound. So let's generate a random seed, which is how you usually start in sound design. So you command click on the seed, and then you get all these little sprouts coming out, and you can pull each individual sprout. Now, each one sounds completely different to the other, which is unique in itself because not many synths you can have each individual key make a different sound unless you play with a heap of key mapping, and that gets complicated. But in 10 seconds, we've done that, and it sounds like this. So every single note is like completely different. How crazy is that? So what you can do now, you can kind of select a branch or a sprout that you like the sound of. So that one's interesting. So let's see this little marker here. That means it's selected. Then you can just click seed, and that copies it to the seed, and it sprouts out again. So very cool sounds coming out of that, and we've hardly even been working on this for very long at all. And you can continue to just pull these seeds out. So we like that one, click the seed again, and that's copied. So how cool is that? It's just a really easy, simple approach to sound design where you don't need to know all that much, and you can come up with some really cool, interesting experimental sounds. So it's got also these sliders. Tuning, that's pretty basic, like standard, like can go up an octave or it can go down an octave, or even if you just want to detune stuff a little bit. Let's go back to 0. Come on. Yep. Atonality. This is a really interesting one. So if your branches or sprouts are really short, it's not really going to affect the sound that much. But basically, the lower that is, the more musical your sounds are going to be. Or if you've got it up here, the more sound effecty your sounds are going to be. So this is none. This is like full. So see how it's just very much detunes it and makes it sound a bit, I guess, out. It's good for experimental sound effects. Let's pop that back down here. Gives it a bit of character too. The effect, so it's kind of like a chorus reverb pan thing. This is nothing. This is 100%. So very cool sound there. Changes it a lot, that little effect slider. Release, that's pretty standard, except it starts gating after 220, I believe it is. Yep. And then it acts as a gate as well, which is cool. So down here, wheel scaling, that's linked to your mod wheel. So you can move your mod wheel, and that adjusts the length of the sprouts a bit. So pretty cool idea. Velocity sensitivity, that's standard, and volume. We don't really need to go too much into that. But this is where things get interesting. So in here, we can manipulate genes. This is where the genetics come into things. So in here, we've got a very in-depth DNA scale of mess, which you probably won't understand, which is what this little question mark is for. Tap that, and then it tells you what each single little module does. So like, say if we went down here, it's a 2 oscillator. It can kind of work as an FM synthesizer. But these act a little bit differently to like your normal serum sliders and things like that. So like your B form that's on 502, we just play with that. And this is probably more used for when you've already got the sound you want, but you just want to make some really slight tweaks to it to make it sound better. That's pretty much the basic overview of this synth. It's just completely different. You grow a synth that's kind of forces you to use your ears to sound design, which is cool. Very good for experimental music, and it's great. So it does come with like a heap of presets as well. So all down here, there's so many. There's also kind of like a few, these are ELAM sign things. They're kind of like initial presets. So like it just might give you like a stock sine wave or a stock saw wave, just little things to play with if you don't really know what you're doing inside here. But yeah, it's lots of fun. I would totally recommend this plugin, but hey, let's make a song with it and see how it sounds.